Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. I'm excited to be here this evening, and thank you for taking the time out of your evening to learn more about VIZZ, and the first and only aceclidine-based eye drop for presbyopia. Tonight, I'm joined by two colleagues, Dominic Porfidia, who is the Vice President of Sales for LENZ, as well as Joe Bryant, who is the East Regional Director. And he will be handling the Q&A. There will be a Q&A session via the chat box that we'll do at the end of the presentation. So if you have questions, please drop them in the chat box. And again, my name is Joshua Cox. I am the Regional Director for the West for LENZ Therapeutics. We do have a poll to start the evening that we'd like to gauge your knowledge, and we'll do a poll at the end as well. So I'll give you a few seconds here to enter your answers. This evening, as I mentioned, we're going to go over VIZZ, which is the first and only aceclidine-based eye drop for presbyopia. Below are some of the key attributes that we're sharing with eye care professionals across the country right now, and we'll go in depth to into each one of these. First, VIZZ is powered by aceclidine, the first non-polycarpine miotic approved for presbyopia in the United States. Patients were able to achieve a less than 2 millimeter pupil size for clear near vision. VIZZ works fast and lasts up to 10 hours with once daily dosing. VIZZ is well tolerated with no serious treatment-related adverse events, and VIZZ is easy to access through UpScript or local pharmacies. Again, we'll dive into each one of these points further and share the relevant data that we are sharing with ECPs across the country. My screen's frozen. My screen's froze. Hang on one second, my screen's frozen.
All right, Josh, my screen should be shared so you can start.
Okay, perfect. As I mentioned, from a mechanism standpoint, VIZZ is the first aceclidine-based eye drop that selectively targets the pupil. It is a pupil-selective miotic targeting the iris sphincter muscle, and it avoids contracting the ciliary muscle or overstimulating the ciliary muscle. Given this, 99% of patients achieve the ideal pupil size of less than 2 millimeters to restore near vision for patients suffering from presbyopia. In our clinical trials, the data was established in three pivotal trials, two safety and efficacy trials, two efficacy trials, Clarity 1 and 2, and one safety trial, a 6-month safety trial, Clarity 3. And you can see there was a very broad range of presbyopes across the study design. The age ranged from 45 to 75 years of age, with a mean age of 55 years. The baseline vision was 20/50 or worse visual acuity, with a -4 to +1 diopter spherical equivalent and up to 2 diopters CIL range. One of the other unique attributes in our clinical trials is that we did include post-refractive surgical patients as well as pseudophakics. And despite the broad range of patients, the results showed no statistically significant difference across any of the patient demographics, including age, ethnicity, or eye color. When you look specifically at the efficacy data on the next slide, taken from our Clarity 1 trial, you can see our 2-line and 3-line improvement. The FDA primary endpoint is greater than a 3-line or greater improvement in near vision without losing at least 1 line of distance. And you can see for our greater than 3 lines, 71% of patients met that criteria at 3 hours. And it lasted up to 10 hours with 40% of patients gaining at least 3 lines up to the 10-hour mark. When you look at greater than a 2-line improvement, 2 or more, 95% of patients within the first hour achieved at least a 2-line of improvement, and 91% of patients maintained that at 3 hours, and up to 70% of patients up to the 10-hour mark. Thus, VIZZ lasts up to 10 hours with once daily dosing, with 91% of patients gaining at least a two-line improvement within the first 30 minutes, and 69% of those patients maintaining at least a two-line improvement at 10 hours. As you dig deeper into the data, you can see that there's also functional vision for these patients. This looks at both Clarity 1 and 2, and you can see from a functional vision standpoint, which is 20/40 J3 or better, 93% of patients within the first 30 minutes achieve 20/40 or better for near vision, and up to 69% maintain that for up to 10 hours. And this is really what you should expect to see from your patients that you prescribe VIZZ for, as this is, the true functional vision of your patients. As we dig deeper into the data, there's some other unique attributes of VIZZ that came out of the Clarity trials. The first is the impact across the range of presbyopes. And that's on the next slide. You can see, as I mentioned, we had a very broad range of patients from 45 years of age up to 75. And we included moderate presbyopes and advanced presbyopes. Moderate being 20/50 to 20/80, and advanced being worse than 20/80. And you can see in these patient populations, the advanced represented by the dark line, the moderate represented by the light line, you can see many patients gained 4 lines, 5 lines, and 6 lines of improvement. So VIZZ is a product that can be used in early presbyopes, but also in a more advanced presbyope as determined by the Clarity trials. Near vision was better for those advanced presbyopes, which is something that is a unique attribute to VIZZ. When you look at the impact on distance, another important parameter, you can see the impact of VIZZ has on distance. There was no negative impact to distance vision in normal or low light. No patient lost distance, and in fact, up to 41% of patients in normal light gained a line of distance. So you can preserve patients' near vision without sacrificing their distance vision based on the Clarity 1 and 2 trials. From a safety standpoint, VIZZ is very well tolerated. There was no serious treatment-related adverse events, and most adverse events were mild, transient, and self-resolving. The most common adverse events are mild stinging upon instillation at 20%, dim vision, and headache. Again, all side effects, or a majority of side effects, were mild, transient, and self-resolving. VIZZ is simple for patients to use. You instill 1 drop in each eye, wait 2 minutes, and instill a second drop in each eye, once daily in a single vial dose. If there is one or more ophthalmic solution drug being used, the drug should be administered at least 5 minutes apart. Your contact lens wearers should remove their contacts prior to installation and wait at least 10 minutes to reinsert them. There are no contraindications for VIZZ. So who is right for VIZZ? LENZ did a survey across a number of different presbyopes, both mild, moderate, and severe. And there were 3 groups that really jumped out as being highly motivated for a new solution to manage their presbyopia. The first are your contact lens wearers. These are really twofold. Your patients who are in a distance correction lens that are managing their near vision with readers or other options, and they were highly motivated. You also have patients who are in maybe a multifocal and are not receiving the results that they'd like. Your 20 unhappy patients. Contact lens wearers were a highly motivated patient to try a new solution for their presbyopia. As I mentioned earlier, we also had post-refractive patients in our trials, and post-refractive surgery patients have opted not to wear glasses or contacts, and as they get older, they may feel it's wearing off. This is an excellent candidate to potentially use VIZZ for. You also have many patients who are more aesthetic in nature, your active lifestyle patients, and VIZZ is an option for those patients fitting into their lifestyle as an and option versus replacing something that they're currently doing. Ultimately, there's a broad range of presbyopes that VIZZ can be used for, and here are 3 patient types that are perfect to start. VIZZ is also very easy to get. You can access VIZZ via the Upscript Pharmacy, which is a specialty pharmacy that we've partnered with. You can see a 1 month supply is $79, and that's 25 vials. And they can receive a 3 month supply for $198. And that is basically $66 a month. It's a cash pay product with no prior authorization. As you may have seen today, we released a press release saying that we have samples available across the United States, and that is commencing right now. Upscript, our specialty pharmacy, will begin filling orders starting tomorrow. So if you go through Upscripts, you can begin prescribing for patients tomorrow. For retail pharmacies, we expect there to be a few weeks as we ramp up and stock retail pharmacies, but your patients can access it through retail pharmacies. When prescribing VIZZ, it's important that you prescribe it for 25 vials, instilling 1 drop in each eye, wait 2 minutes, instill a second drop in each eye once daily in the same single dose vial. It's also important that you add the note that the pharmacist authorized to adjust quantity dispensed per patient requests, not to exceed your supply. This allows Upscript to then offer the patient the 3 month discount should they want to refill their prescription at that quantity. In summary, in terms of what we covered tonight, VIZZ is the first and only aceclidine-based eye drop for presbyopia. It is powered by aceclidine, the first non-polycarpine miotic approved in the United States. In clinical trials, it allowed patients to achieve a less than 2 mm pupil size for clear near vision. VIZZ works fast and it lasts up to 10 hours with once daily dosing. VIZZ is very well tolerated with no serious or treatment-related adverse events. And VIZZ is easy to access through the Upscript or local pharmacy. With that, we'll go ahead and send up our poll again. And if you have questions, Joe will go ahead and take those in the chat. If anyone has a more medically specific question, Joe is also going to put an email address in the chat box that will allow you to send in your question to our medical team. Joe, what questions do you have for us? You're on mute.
I've been answering questions as we've been going. Let me see. Who does it work best on? Myopes or hyperopes, or does it matter?
Did you answer that question?
Nope, that one just came up.
Yeah, that's really at your discretion. The entrance criteria for the trials, I shared with you guys earlier in the presentation, -4 to +1 in terms of refractive range, and with two cil range as well. And again, a treatment history. We had advanced presbyopes all the way down to early presbyopes. And post-Sudafake or Sudafake patients and post-LASIK patients.
How do we get samples?
In order to get samples, you need to contact your representative. If you go to VIZZ.com, we do have an ECP request box that you can fill out, and that gets routed to our corporate office, and it allows us to send the appropriate representative in order to, out to your office. We also have an inside sales team that handles those requests as well. So you'll be contacted either by one of our inside sales representatives or by one of our field sales representatives, depending where you're at geographically.
Will the cost be the same at Upscript Pharmacy and the local pharmacies?
No, one of the reasons that we are encouraging eye care professionals to go through Upscript is we can guarantee the price. That's $79 for a 1 month supply and $66 for a month for a 3-month supply or 198 is guaranteed through UpScript. And they're also guaranteed 2-day delivery and connection with the patient in terms of refilling their medications. If your patient wants to get it filled at a retail pharmacy, they're certainly more than welcome to do that. We can't guarantee the price, and we don't have a 3-month option or discount for those patients.
Okay. How much do ODs charge to write the RX? Any follow-up?
I mean, that's really up to your discretion. Some ODs have been interested in, dosing it in the chair or in the lane. That's certainly something that's up to them. There is, you can't bill for a vision and medical in the same visit, so that's a consideration that, you should consider. But it's really just a normal prescription product, um, that you would prescribe similar to dry eye products, et cetera.
Okay. Um, could you use it as monovision?
Again, it was not studied. It was not studied that way in the clinical trials. The efficacy data that you saw, the 3-line and the 2-line data, that's monocular data. We administered it binocularly, but measured it in one eye for the FDA endpoints. The functional vision data that I went over, the 20/40 J3 or better, that was binocular, so that was both eyes.
Yep. Will the patient need to stop the medication for a day in order to be dilated well during the exam?
Well, that's a little bit more of a medical question, and I would encourage you to send that question into medical. What we do know is at the end of the 6-month safety trial, we did bring the patients in and dilate them on the last day, but they had taken it the day before, so we dilated them the next day, and they dilated fine. But that's the only parameter that we have.
All right. This was an interesting question. A hunter who needs immediate focus need, would this work if they were distance only contacts?
Again, I can share
Yeah,
with you.
that one.
I can only share with you the study parameters that we looked at in terms of -4 to +1. And what we know is that 99% of patients in the clinical trials achieved a less than 2 millimeter or pinhole effect in the clinical trials, which improves depth of focus and clear near vision.
Yep. Okay.
Is that all the questions?
Yep.
Excellent.
Um, yep. Nope. That's it. The other ones I answered all before.
Excellent. Well, on behalf of LENZ Therapeutics, myself, and Joe, who cover the entire country, we certainly appreciate you staying on this evening. To learn more about VIZZ. If you have any questions, VIZZ.com is a great resource for you to have to learn not only more about VIZZ, but hear patient testimonials. And if you have or want samples or need to request samples, you can also do it through VIZZ.com as well. So thank you for your time and certainly appreciate you taking your evening and spending it with us.